CBC panel mocks Poilievre on air. Shocking comment sparks uproar plus May tipped for speaker role. Canada's political climate is teetering on the edge of open hostility, not just between political parties, but between the media and those seeking to lead the country. A recent flashpoint came during a CBC segment when veteran journalists Robert Fife and David Cochrane were caught laughing on air while discussing Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. The mockery, perceived as belittling Poilievre's image and leadership, spread rapidly online and prompted an outpouring of criticism over what many see as institutional media bias against Conservatives. The incident struck a chord with Poilievre supporters, many of whom believe mainstream outlets, particularly publicly funded ones like CBC, lean left and failed to treat Conservative leaders fairly. To them, this was not just an unprofessional moment, but a symptom of deeper rot, a media class that no longer even pretends to be neutral. The laughter wasn't about a policy or a misstatement. It was about the man himself, and that, critics argue, crossed the line from analysis into mockery. This moment has sparked broader debate about journalistic ethics, especially regarding the role of taxpayer-funded media in a democracy. Should CBC, with its unique status as a public broadcaster, allow such open disdain for a sitting opposition leader? Or does this undermine the credibility of journalism as a whole, reducing it to partisan entertainment? The concern is that when journalists become performers instead of informers, the public loses a vital check on political power and instead receives little more than spin, ridicule, and selective outrage. These media controversies emerge at a pivotal moment in Canadian politics. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is mounting a sustained challenge to Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney, who took office following Justin Trudeau's resignation. The stakes are high. With economic pressures building and public trust eroding, every political misstep and every instance of perceived unfairness could influence the outcome of the next election. Adding complexity to the political landscape is Green Party leader Elizabeth May, who is reportedly being considered for the position of Speaker of the House of Commons. If she succeeds Greg Fergus, who has faced his own controversies, her new role would carry substantial influence. The Speaker ensures order in the House and casts tie-breaking votes, a critical function in a minority parliament where the Liberals now control just 168 seats, well short of a majority. May's openness to supporting Carney's government in crucial votes has raised eyebrows. Some see it as pragmatic politics, the Greens aligning with the centrist party to achieve real environmental policy wins. Others view it as a risk to the Green Party's independence, worried it could turn a principled party into a parliamentary accessory. If May becomes Speaker and uses her position to prop up the Liberals, that could alter the dynamics of confidence votes and reduce the leverage of opposition parties like the Conservatives and Bloc Québécois. Meanwhile, Carney is pressing ahead with ambitious and expensive policy initiatives, including an expanded dental care plan for Canadians aged 55 to 64. Touted as a compassionate healthcare reform, the policy is being promoted as a major win for older Canadians. But with Canada's national debt now over $1.3 trillion and interest payments projected to hit $65 billion annually, critics argue that this is no time to embark on costly new programs. The risk, they say, is that such spending could trigger further inflation, stall economic growth, and saddle future generations with unsustainable debt. Economic pressure is already squeezing Canadians. In the Greater Toronto Area, the condo market is teetering. Thousands of units remain unsold. Prices are forecasted to fall by over 8%. Years of lax oversight on foreign investment, particularly from China, helped inflate the bubble. Now, average Canadians are left to deal with the aftermath. Rising mortgage rates and stagnant wages are making homeownership an increasingly distant dream. Calls are growing for the government to finally rein in foreign real estate speculation and refocus the market on Canadian families, not offshore investors. Beyond housing, regional tensions are flaring. In Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith faces growing frustration from Indigenous leaders who argue the province isn't doing enough to support economic autonomy or resource development in First Nations communities. With Ottawa pushing centralized control over energy and climate policy, Smith has a chance to distinguish Alberta's path, one focused on local empowerment and prosperity. If she engages Indigenous leaders in good faith and supports economic development on their terms, she could turn rising separatist rumblings into a model for national unity through mutual respect and economic inclusion. National unity is also being tested on ethical grounds. The issue of medical assistance in dying continues to provoke debate. Liberal candidate Neil Thompson, backed by Carney, caused alarm when he spoke dismissively about prolonging elderly lives. His remarks, viewed as cold and morally troubling, triggered outrage across party lines. Canadians are growing uneasy with the rapid expansion of MAID, fearing it's being offered in place of genuine care and support. For a government that claims to prioritize dignity, Thompson's comments are a stark contradiction. Poilievre, while gaining momentum among many working-class and young male voters, continues to face challenges in winning over older female voters, a group historically crucial in deciding elections. Liberal commentator Amanda Alvaro claims Poilievre's aggressive tone may alienate these voters. On the ground, some conservative candidates report similar feedback, that women appreciate Poilievre's messages on affordability and safety, but are wary of the delivery. For Poilievre to convert growing dissatisfaction with the Liberals into electoral victory, he'll need to strike a balance between strength and reassurance, reform and stability. Meanwhile, a Rebel News segment underscored a troubling trend. Carney supporters, when asked to explain their support, struggled to name a single policy. Instead, they cited vague impressions: he's trustworthy, or he seems intelligent. While charisma matters in politics, this raises concerns about the growing dominance of personality over substance. Informed voting is essential in a democracy. If leaders are elected based on branding rather than ideas, accountability suffers, and the public is left in the dark about what's really at stake. Taken together, these developments reflect a deepening crisis in Canadian public life. The media, once a neutral arbiter, is increasingly seen as partisan. Political alliances are shifting in unpredictable ways. The economy is unstable, and many voters feel disconnected from leaders who seem more focused on spin than solutions. In this environment, every controversy, from CBC's laughter to housing market crashes, becomes more than a news item. It becomes a test of credibility, trust, and vision. What happens next will depend not only on political strategy, but on how Canadians engage. Will voters demand real accountability and policy clarity from Mark Carney? Can Poilievre convince a broader base that his fight against government dysfunction is also a fight for unity and prosperity? Will the media correct its course and recommit to balance, or continue alienating half the country? Canada is approaching a turning point. The economy is fragile. Trust is low. But the stakes are high, and so is the potential. This could be a moment where new leadership rises, old assumptions fall, and democracy is reinvigorated by citizens who refuse to be spectators. Whether the country takes that opportunity depends on what comes next, in Parliament, on the campaign trail, and in the hearts and minds of Canadians.